So, but I couldn't get rid of Brent because he, in a sense, he helped me find myself. He helped me to have the courage to say to the world, this is me. You can like it or lump it, but this is who I am. My faults, my strengths, my weaknesses. And for the first time in my life, I had the courage to show the world who I really was. I never had the courage to do it before because I never felt that I was totally acceptable. And I think that's why I was so shy when I was a little girl. And Brent he made me blossom. And that's the reason he's had such a strong impact on my life and why I fell so deeply in love with him. To the point where he inspired me, I believe, to perform far greater than I ever thought I could. I was determined that when I studied writing, see, he was a big star. To me, he was my example of a person who had the courage to be true to their artistic side, to follow their dream, and to not be dissuaded by those who would laugh at trying to reach the mountain. So I told myself, I'm going to make him proud of me. I'm going to try to find a mountain with writing. I was determined to be a great writer for him. I wanted him to be proud of me. And I thought another advantage in learning to write is that if I learn to write greatly, not only will I be a blessing to Brent, but I would be a blessing to the world, and I would leave behind a legacy after my death. To me, writing was one of the most awesome gifts that I could develop. And I took it as a calling from God, as well as a way of giving something back to Brent to compensate for the fact that I couldn't give him my body. So I said, I'll write for him. And I'm going to make it up. I said, I love this man so much, and he's done so much for me, that I'm going to let him see it in my writing. I'm going to write a masterpiece. And that was my goal. I said, everything I write has to be great, because my writing honors a great love. And I was so passionate when I taught myself how to write. This was my standard. I told myself, when I was a student at the Institute of Children's Literature, this was a correspondence school, I said, I'm not studying this to make straight A's. I said, when I study this craft, I'm going to go beyond that. I said, I want to write something so great that I'm going to leave behind a monument, that I'm going to leave behind a legacy. I said, I am not satisfied with just making straight A's or just meeting the criteria of this writing school. So when I studied, my goal, I tried to get everything out of that course that I could. I got everything from my instructor I could get out of him. And when I let readers critique my teleplay, I let Leslie Jacobs look at it, because I sensed that she was an artist, because I heard her play guitar or something in church. So I wanted to pick somebody that I felt had an artistic sense and who would be a good critic, somebody intelligent. So I picked her and her husband. And they did critique my teleplay and gave me some good suggestions. They were so afraid that they were going to insult me when they put some constructive criticism in there. I told them, you have not insulted me. I said, you have pointed out some serious flaws in here, and I'm honored that you took the time to critique this, and you've greatly helped me. I said, please, don't be afraid to criticize my writing. I encouraged my writing professor. I encouraged anybody who looked at my writing. I said, this is what I told Leslie. I said, I do not want you to be kind to me when you read this script. I said, I want you to rip it apart. I said, if you see anything in there that you don't think is right or that weakens the writing, don't worry about hurting my feelings. I want you to rip it apart from top to bottom. I want this thing to be great. I was writing it for Brent. See, I didn't tell her that. And I said, I want you to rip this thing up. Don't worry about hurting my feelings. Rip it up from top to bottom. You see anything there, don't worry about hurting my feelings. Well, thank God she followed my advice. She ripped that thing up from top to bottom. It helped me to find some flaws in there. And I said, I'm so grateful that you had the courage to tell me the truth about this teleplay. Because, see, that was a labor of love for me. And I worked so hard on that teleplay that I was often up till 2 in the morning, 1 or 2 in the morning. Then I'd get up about 8 or 9 the next day, and I'd hit it again. And I work on that thing round the clock, go into my word processor, rewriting, ripping up papers. I think I must have filled garbage cans. I mean, I was really upset that I couldn't give Brent my body, and I was determined that with my writing, I would make it up to him. And I was I sacrificed so much to work on that teleplay that I sacrificed my gums and my teeth because I didn't brush my teeth properly. And what happened is that during the reason I was in such a hurry is because my husband was out at sea, and he did not support my writing. I think he knew subconsciously that I was doing it for Brent, so he was very resentful. He did not like me to write. He was threatened by this change he saw in me, and also he forbade me to watch Star Trek. I think he figured out that something was going on between me and Brent Spiner, so I had to watch it when he wasn't around. I figured out a system where I could put the timer on the recorder and I could tape it when he wasn't there and all this. So I had to play this game with my husband where I watched all the Star Trek when he wasn't around, and I would go out at night after my husband would hit the sack around 10, and I'd sneak out the door, go to the car about midnight, and mail letters to Brent Spiner. I'd go out. I didn't want to risk mailing it from our box sometimes because I was afraid that he might catch me. So he would go to bed at 10. I'd get in the car about 10:30. I'd wait till he was asleep. Then I'd drive out to the post office box and drop it in there and then come home. Most of the time he never caught me. Once my husband's out, he's out, And I did that. And the funny thing is I kept that charade up for so long. That's how bad. And I made sure Brent heard from me just about every day. I was sending, and my husband, I did a really good job of keeping that from him. He never knew. I think he knew I was writing Brent, but he had no idea how much I was writing Brent. I really wanted to marry Brent. I didn't want to be with my husband. The only reason I didn't go to Brent is because I was worried that God would kill me. But I dreamed about making love to Brent every day.